Welcome to Make Shit Happen. Our guest today is Brad Deutser. Brad owns a Deutser. It's a consulting company, which is an award-winning consulting company. Brad is also an author of Leading Clarity. Brad, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Tell us a little bit about this book that you have that's called Leading Clarity. Tell us what it's about.
So yeah, I wrote Leading Clarity as a way to tell the story, to give people a chance to help navigate the chaos and constant change that we're all going through. We're all going through, doesn't matter what our title is, what our place is in the organization, where we are in life. We're all leaders and we're all facing lots of change, constant transitions. And Leading Clarity is the pathway to help people understand how to navigate that change. And so the book is really interesting in that it puts forth some research that we've been working on for the last almost 30 years about thinking inside a different framework, about how we humanize connections with people and how we leverage positivity as the glue that binds us to our people, to our future state. So high level, it's a really interesting read, gets people to think differently about where they are and how to lead clarity no matter what's happening around you.
Perfect. Well, I was talking to you yesterday before the show, when I was telling you how do we gonna get on this, and you were telling me that you're very much into positivity, motivation. Tell us a little bit about that, if you don't mind. Share that with some of our listeners and viewers.
Absolutely. Positivity is, so many people think about positivity as, hey, we're just going to smile, we're going to be happy. But the reality is that the positive psychology, there's the theory of positive psychology is much bigger and much more important, whether we're an individual, a leader, whether we're part of a company. And we do some major research on positivity. And positivity is about being inspirational. It's about being mindful, happy, optimistic. It's about being grateful. So we could have a day where we're not happy, but we can still have positivity. And what's interesting about positivity and the work that we do around positivity with people and organizations is that positivity truly is the glue that binds us from where we are, our current state, to where we want to be. If we don't have that positivity, then we're going to be delayed in achieving our ultimate outcome, or we won't get there. And so we're about to put out a really interesting white paper that makes a direct correlation to positivity and performance. So for all the people out there who think that positivity is soft and isn't going to drive your business, I'll tell you what, the science tells otherwise. It is way more, much more of a catalyst than people think when it comes to profitability and performance.
So you say it leads, positivity directly correlates with, it's directly proportional to performance and positivity. And that's, you said science says this, and you're about to put a white paper on. Do you care to expand on it a little bit?
Yeah, well, the white paper is still a couple weeks away. And so I don't have the numbers in front of me, but we've studied several thousand people in different organizations. And what we find is that the higher what we call the positivity quotient, the higher the positivity quotient, the more likely the company is successful. The more likely that company is going to be to achieve its future state. So there's certain things that we're studying that are direct correlations inside organizations around positivity, leadership, vision. There is teamwork, adaptability. There's certain key elements that have a direct correlation and link to positivity, and ultimately to driving the bottom line. So it's not just, again, people have this idea that it's just, hey, it's happy, it feels good. We want to have a great culture. But the reality is, it's more than a great culture. It's about a performance orientation to your company.
So, Brad, the Deutser, you're the CEO of Deutser, which is, your name is Brad Deutser, so it look like it's named after you. It's what does Deutser do? It's a consulting company. It helps achieve people to maximum profitability. Tell us a little bit about that.
So yeah, our company is Deutser, and it's
Deutser, I'm sorry, not Deutser. I'm sorry, I apologize.
hey, you know what? As we always say, it doesn't matter what people say as long as you call us. Hey, call us Deutser, Dietzer. It's not the best name to put out there for your company, but it's the name my team chose, and so we're all in on it. But so our company, we have two parts to our company. There's Deutser, which is consultants and creators, and that's the side of our company that we work with organizations to drive performance. We really help them to think about the whole of their organization, really starting with their people and how we can leverage performance and drive performance in their company. So we deal with major long-term strategy, we deal with culture, we deal with engagement. Sometimes it's inside and sometimes it's external. And so to us, it's how do these things intersect with each other and help to drive that. And so that's what Deutzer is about. And my favorite part of our company is that we love to help. We love to help. We love to, help people think about what their tomorrow is going to be. And so we have psychologists, anthropologists, creative people, strategists, management consultants, engagement experts that really take a holistic kind of 360 view of the organization and how we think about it. So we don't let people just look and say, well, this is what we've always done, let's just do it again. No, let's think about the future. Let's think about where we are and where we can take the organization. And that could be a startup or that could be a Fortune 500 company. It doesn't matter.
Now that's one part of your business. With us living in this post-COVID era or in the COVID era, right? Because definitely by no means post, it's still here. And things have changed. Businesses have changed. Businesses are going to have to change to adapt to the new way of doing business. What kind of message do you have for businesses and people out there that they should do to keep surviving in this age?
The reality, Sam, is that if we take the things that we've always done with strategy, with communications, and think that we as leaders are going to take those same strategies forward to the future and they're going to produce the same results, we're probably going to be disappointed more times than not. And so part of the opportunity here is to look at the future for what it is, and that's opportunity. How is our company situated today, or how does it need to be situated? Or how do I as the leader need to rethink the future so that I can prosper in a different way? So many people today are thinking about, how do I get back to work because of COVID? Or, what do I need to do to get back? And the reality and what we're telling people all over is it's not about getting back to work right now. It's not about what you can do with COVID, getting back from that. Because what we do today is going to dictate the long-term success of our company. How we bring people back today, it's a new company. It's a new environment. When we left in March, for those companies who did leave and they're coming back, our people have changed, our experiences have changed. The people around us, our friends have lost jobs, they've been affected. So our whole psyche is different. So this is the moment that we as companies need to think about reorienting our workforce, doubling down on our values, reinvesting in our culture. I tell people, take this moment and rethink your company. And if you don't have time to rethink the whole strategy, that's okay. It's going to continue to evolve. But anchor to your foundation, the bottom of your box, which is the culture, the DNA. And if you can do that and re-anchor your people, they're going to give you the freedom to do whatever you need strategically. Think about your business. As long as people know that the cultural foundation, the behavioral expectations that you have, the values, the purpose, all those things are still true, they're going to give you leeway if you're going to sell in a store, online, or do completely different things, as long as that foundation is strong and they know it. So this is that moment to strengthen your foundation. And when you have that strong foundation, it's going to set you up to address the future in many different ways.
So, you know, and we see, okay, there's 24-hour fitness, going out of business. A whole bunch of other bigger companies, bigger organizations, they're all shaky. Neiman Marcus filing bankruptcy protection. There's just several of them. And because, business was closed for a couple of months, um, in some places, I mean, it has shaken the foundation. Small businesses, have shaken foundation. What and your advice to them is think differently, as it's a different company. What is something that people should think about what's going to happen in the future or upcoming months and seasons, and how are people behavior going to change, and how should CEOs and presidents of the companies and the founders of the company prepare for that?
I think the answer to that is anyone who tells you no, they know the answer is making it up. The reality is we don't know when COVID's going away. We don't know how the social and political unrest is going to impact us. We don't know when a vaccine, we don't know when the human psyche, when people are going to feel comfortable going back to restaurants, going back to getting back. Some are not. So that's why we are such strong advocates of saying your strategy needs to be flexible. You need to be looking not at the next 5 years, 10 years. We need to be looking, I look at a horizon of what are we doing over the course of this year to set us up for next year? Not looking much farther than that. Look at how we're going to create that bridge. But Sam, what's happening is we talk to leaders all over the world, and they are focused so much on numbers, on business, on those things, and they forget that it's the people that are the connection to their future. And so what we do in these moments to create what we talk about, a psychologically safe work environment, creating a balance of trust, employee voice, employee empowerment, which balances that fear. What we do now culturally is maybe more important than what we do strategically. So if we can protect our people, and we may not have as many people as we did before the pandemic, but if we can protect them, empower them, set expectations for them, that is a huge first step, because what we do know is everything around is going to continue to swirl. And our prediction is it's going to continue to swirl at a faster pace as the political season really begins to ramp up, as we get through the summer and into the fall, where you're going to see even more polarized workplaces, more polarized society, as different people have different views. And so it's really important that we as companies, if we can ground ourselves, get back, really take the time to make sure our people are okay, have conversations. And as a leader, one of the things we tell people is, look, the best leaders are leaders that can exhibit emotion, that can share where they are emotionally with where their workforce is. So if you know there are tough times coming up, sound the alarm, tell your people. If you establish the relationship with your people, when you send memos to people, we tell people, don't write the memo to dear company, write it to dear mom. Put emotion in it, right? Act like you're communicating with your mom, then erase mom and send it out to your people. Connect with them on a real emotional level. The ultimate leaders of the companies are stressed. There's uncertainty with managers, there's uncertainty with the front lines. Let's all acknowledge it. Let's all acknowledge that no matter how confident we are, we still have some little bits of uncertainty that we as human beings have to navigate through. So let's be real, take the time to connect with other people.
That's absolutely true. I mean, that was so deep on so many levels. And I mean, I mean, CEOs, business people, they need to understand, what's coming. A lot of people, I hear this all the time. Man, this 2020 sucked, and I'm just ready for it to get over. I'm writing 2020 off. What is your thinking of that?
Oh man, you're wasting you're wasting one of the great opportunities that we have.
Uh,
Anybody who says the year is over, I'm worried that you're not going to get to 2021. I'm worried you're not going to get to 2022. Part of our practice is about being in the moment. It's about being mindful. It's about being present. And we talk about COVID-19 as the beginning of the end. And people freak out and they say, wait, it's the beginning of the end. You're about positivity. I'm like, yeah, it's the beginning of the end of business as we knew it. This is a whole new, exciting time to reinvent yourself as a leader. This is a time to reconnect with your people, to reconnect with your audience, with your customers in fundamentally different ways. This is a restart. This is an opportunity to reset your business. And will your profits be the same for the last 6 months of the year? I don't know. But do I know that you can reset your foundation, do the right things that propels you forward? Absolutely. Do not give up on this year. Do not give up on a day, on a week, on a month. This is the time to say, I am here and I am going to find the best in this. I'm going to take my positivity, we call it positivity piercing, and I'm going to pierce through the junk that's around us and find that thing to anchor onto to connect me, to give me a chance to have a brighter future than I ever imagined. Please don't give up on this year.
So I have a second part to that statement. And some people just say, "Oh, I'm gonna give up. I'm really not gonna advertise my business. I don't think I can, if I get an additional business, I don't know if I want to handle it." What do you think about that when people, when they're in business and now all of a sudden they're like, have that mindset, let me stop advertising. I'll start advertising in 2021.
Marketing, advertising, I equate it to a water faucet, and it's hard to turn off and on. And then when you turn it off, then you don't turn it back on the same way. And so you have to be smart about it. But look, we're in the service business. We serve, we love to help. I think that's what you do. You love to help people. It's why you do this podcast. It's why you have the experience you have in your store. I mean, it's to help people. Yes, it's to make a business. And if your mindset is oriented around the idea that if you're in a service business, we're here to serve. Our service may look different. Our commitment isn't. Maybe everything we provide isn't the same, but we're able to help people. And if we as a society will accept the fact that through our businesses, through our personal experiences, through our community involvement, if we can just reach out and lift someone else up and create that and use our businesses to do that, we may not make the money we made last year or the year before or whenever it was, but maybe there's a different reward that we get. And I believe that reward's going to pay off in other ways down the road. So, some people may say, hey, Brad, you sound really Pollyanna. You sound, oh, everything is just so positive. You don't know what it's like. No, I do. I understand. I understand the pain. We deal with it with leaders every day. We're dealing with companies that are having to lay off huge parts of their workforce. And our message is the same. You have to keep going forward. You have to keep being connected to where you are and support your people, because they're going to go out and support other people. I don't know if that's answering your question
No,
exactly.
that's definitely answering my question. Now, what should businesses do right now? A lot of businesses, even if they were involved in the community, nonprofit, philanthropy, some companies are like, you know what, everything got to come to a stop right now, and my philanthropy needs to stop. I mean, I'm turning a page into a different. I'm turning a new leaf. What will be your message to people like that?
We believe in community, and we believe that people lift us all up, our business up. And so we believe we have a responsibility to give back in our community. Sometimes that's in the form of money and donations. Sometimes it's in the form of letting my people have time to go do things. Sometimes it's in the form of we as a company are going to create or do to support something. Sometimes it can come in many different ways. But if we turn our backs on the people who are the most needy, who have the most needs in our community, and there are many, what kind of community are we going to come back to? In our company, we have the Deutser Clarity Fund. And so it's a 501c3 fund through the Greater Houston Community Foundation. And we try to give to organizations that help. But what we do is every person who works in my company, we've set up their own individual Deutser Clarity Fund. So under their name, they have a certain amount of money they can give to whatever causes that are important to them. So it may not be the money that the giant companies give, where they can give huge, large sums of money. But what we've found is every dollar today helps somebody. That $50 from somebody may be a meal or multiple meals for families who are going to the food bank. That may be supporting so many different things in our community. So we've got to quit the idea of judging ourselves that we can't do what we used to do, so therefore we shouldn't do it. Instead, we need to embrace the idea that we can make a difference. And it may be less, but our smaller gift today may have bigger impact than our bigger gift yesterday. Our time that we donate to support may be more important today than it was before. I know that we can't give up on it. And I know that the people on the front lines of the company, this is part of the DNA and the culture that companies need to wrap their minds around. I mean, we try to help organizations create these cause programs. So yes, they benefit from it, but the community benefits.
Brett, you've been doing, how long has Deutser been in existence?
We have been in existence since 2001. So
And how long have you been doing what you do total?
a long time, a long time. And the same, I started off early in my career. I started off working at Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey Circus, and worked in different parts of the country and came back here. And so I've done this for, probably about 30 years, a
Right,
little bit more than that.
and I know you talk to a lot of people. You have a big portfolio where you deal with businesses, and I know right now probably a lot of people are leaning on you more than ever to talk to because it's a lot of confusion, and I'm sure your clients have been calling you. Business people are a different breed. Business owners are a different breed, right? Some of them are so invested in their business that they just work, 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 work. But then you get some of them that, you know, are not, more like an absentee owner, or like they see life a little, their business as a different, totally as a different opportunity. What kind of message you have right now for people, business owners, CEOs, or people who are decision makers? What kind of time should they put in their business now? Why is it right now more important to pay attention to their business than ever? or is it something that maybe we can all stay home and it's okay, everything is hunky-dory?
Well, if you can find that home, tell me where it is. I have yet to find it. So the answer to your question is really simple. Your people are looking up to you. Your people are watching. And if you have an organization, this is the moment to let people know that you have a vision, that things are going to be okay. They may be different, but you are going to be there and you are going to lead them. We did research, produced a white paper on engagement, and it was really fascinating. We studied 14,000 people in organizations. And what it showed was in the organizations that had the highest level of engagement, it was about their vision, it tied to leadership, and it tied to team orientation. And what that tells me in this moment here is that vision and leadership and leading the team are the difference in success and incredible success. It's the difference between surviving and thriving. This is the moment where leadership is prized maybe more than any other time. And what we do as leaders is not going to have a short-term impact. What we do as leaders today will carry forward in our organization and the people we touch for many, many years. So when we talk about this being a reset, if you're an absentee owner, I'll tell you, this is the moment to get back into it, to be human, to be personal, to put yourself out there, to be vulnerable, to lead. And if you're the leader who's like me, who's at this 6 and 7 days a week, sometimes 12 hours a day, sometimes 18 hours a day, be focused on what you're doing. Don't lose sight. Don't get caught up in the work and forget people are looking to you. And if you can lead them and lift them up, this is going to have a long-term impact on your business, on your culture, and ultimately on your performance. Too many people are looking for the quick buck, the quick, hey, if I don't see it in July, if I don't see it in August. Well, if you're going to take a short-term view right now, and some people have to because of survival, but if you're going to take a short-term view and sacrifice your people, I'll ask you as a leader, are you in the right business? Protect your people. Do right by them. They're going to do right by you.
That's a that's a great message right there. And you know, your people are important, but you know, they are looking at you, and if you show weakness or if you show vulnerability, I mean, they're not gonna be confident in you, and I appreciate that message. How what is your point of view of loving what you do?
Well, one of our core values is love what you do and it shows. And so we deal a lot with values and with behaviors. We set behavioral expectations. And there's not a hierarchy of one value is more important than the other, but we somehow always revert back to this value in our company of love what you do and it shows. And to me, look, we spend most of our time at work. We spend so much time. If we can't find things that we love about it, if we can't find a way to fall back in love with it, that's on us. And I think that that's so much a part of how we kind of connect that to positivity and connecting, creating those connections with your company and that energy. We talk a lot about energy, the energy of love and passion for your company. Your employees feel, you know,
So
they feel.
what kind of message will you have for somebody out there that is listening to us right now and they're like, you know, Brad, I understand, you know, your message about positivity. I understand you telling me about, you know, leadership, and I understand you telling me to, you know, be present at my work and you know, put in time. And I understand you telling me to love, you know, love what I do, but it's just been hard. I mean, you know, my business, basically kind of got shut down. I had a lot of cancellation. I had this, and this, and that, and now 3 months later, I'm lost.
Unfortunately, that's the reality that so many businesses are in today, is that I've done all these things and I'm still lost. And what we tell them is to don't give up. Don't give up in this moment, because you may not be as lost as you think. This is the moment, if you step back and ground yourself to what you love about your business, if you ground yourself to the culture and to the people part of it, and then look out and think about the organization, you can find a new pathway. It's going to be a different pathway. It may not be as big, but it doesn't mean that it can't be as fulfilling. It can be. And I think that's one of the things that people are struggling with, is that they're unhappy because I've had to lay people off. I've had to close these things. I've had to do these things. And you feel beaten down because of the negativity.
Mm-hmm.
And your company doesn't look or feel the same. And this is the moment where I say to people, you're right. Accept it. Accept the fact that it's different, but give yourself grace. Give yourself grace to know that you did everything you could, and here you are. What is this future going to look like? I tell people to dream. Take time in this moment to dream. Sounds crazy, right? I'm struggling. I'm struggling to pay rent. I'm struggling with this. But if we're stuck in the struggle and we can't get out of the struggle, how do we expect to give ourselves a chance to succeed going forward? So it may be an hour or two at the end of the day. It may be a half a day to say, you know what, I'm going to step back. I'm going to think about Brad's box. I'm going to think about the direction and the operations and the people and the engagement. I'm going to think about my identity on the bottom of the box. I'm going to think about the top, the environment, and I'm going to dream. And I'm just going to give myself the freedom to dream. I call it wonder wander. And there's exercises that we do just to say, let me be free. Because what we're seeing is we've dealt with so many organizations during COVID where they've lost major parts of their business. But what they found is something so unexpected and so rewarding. And it's going to end up changing their companies. And I think it could change society in some ways. Some of the things people are doing with online tutoring, with companies that have taken technology, long-standing technology, that now they've re-engineered to kill COVID. So who knows where the next great idea is going to come from? I just tell leaders, it's tough. Acknowledge that it's tough, but don't get lost in the fight. Don't get lost in the day-to-day. Give yourself a chance to breathe, to step out of it, to look forward. In our company, we have a mandatory meditation that we do every Tuesday and every Friday. And that work around mindfulness gives us 30 minutes, 15 minutes to simply practice on being in the moment, knowing that we're okay in this moment, no matter what else is going on. And it's just working on breathing. And it sounds crazy, but when we get tense as leaders, our energy stops, our breathing slows. How are you going to create the next great idea? How are you going to lift someone else up? Treat yourself. Give yourself that opportunity to breathe, to dream, and then go back to reality. But just make sure you give yourself that pathway forward.
Tell us a little bit more about this meditation exercise that y'all do at work.
So we every Tuesday we through the Deutser Clarity Institute, we have one of our fellows is an incredible expert on mindfulness, and she has come in and taught seminars to our team, and everybody calls in via Zoom every Tuesday, and we walk through a topic, and the topic may be about balance. The talk about maybe just different ideas, where we spend 10 minutes not thinking about the details of our work, and we talk about just a big idea, a big something that we want to manifest in ourselves, in our day. And then she walks us through an exercise. Sometimes it's 5 minutes, sometimes it's 10, sometimes it's 15 and 20 minutes. But just where we focus on the breath in and feeling the breath in. And when we start focusing on the breath, our mind still goes crazy. Our mind, ideas come and go, but it's teaching us to be intentional in this moment, to focus. And when we do that, we step out of that. When we step out of that, we're better able to focus and compartmentalize the things that are being thrown at us. It's why we have our institute, and it's why it's the Willy Wonka land for leadership. When we bring people into our institute where we're purposely bombarding them with different creative inputs to psychologically get them out of where they are. That's another way to do it. Mindfulness is a breath.
I would really love to come visit the institution. I know we were supposed to do this pre-COVID, but I would really love to come and visit it and show some of the audience what it looks like.
I would be honored to share what it looks like. It's a really special place. There's nowhere like it in the country. And I'm proud that it's here in Houston. And every single piece of the Institute, from the floor to games on the ceiling, to walls, to flashing lights, everything has a reason. Everything has an exercise, and it transports leaders and lets them know that where they are, there's a lot of craziness happening, but where they can be, they can have a different kind of control. And that's what the Institute's about, helping people see and envision what they can be as a leader, what their teams can be, and what their companies can be.
Perfect. I think we'd love to do that. Another thing, so you deal with a lot of business owners, you deal with a lot of people, or organizations, people at your thing. And you do this meditation and everything, and we have talked about positivity, but positivity is also humility. In my point, is very important. What is your point of view of humility?
We're people. We're all human beings. And so when we talk about a more human approach to organizational change, it starts with the idea that as people, we have to be humble. Humility, being grounded. And that's what so much about meditation is, being grounded, being self-reflective. It's not just about us as leaders. The leader who thinks that it's about the leader has missed the idea of leadership. It's about her people. It's about his people who are following. And so that humility becomes a critical pathway to help us continue to grow as people, to help us continue to stay grounded, and to help connect people to us. Humility is one of the great ways that we connect. People want to be with people that they can approach, that they know are just like them. And that's what we talked about, the leader being humble, being vulnerable. Those are important ideas.
Awesome. I love that. Let me ask you about this thing. There's a lot of great companies that came out of the Great Recession in 2008 and 9, right? I mean, huge, big companies, Fortune 500 companies now. And when we started, you said, if people want to write 2020 off, they're going to miss on a great opportunity. Okay. I mean, and I'm sure that this, after every adversity, there's an opportunity, right? And I think, and I'm sure that there's some big companies and big ideas that will come from this. What do you think about that?
I'm seeing the ideas come every day. That's the magic here. For the leaders who are stuck, stop, pause, look around. There's incredible innovation. Again, I look at this time as the beginning of the end. You can choose if it's the beginning of the end in a negative way or a positive way. But to me, it's the beginning of the end of business as we know it. So what is the next thing we're going to create? How are we going to take some of the most basic tools that we have and eliminate COVID? Is it going to be through UVC lights? Is it going to be through some type of water treatment? Is it going to be, who knows? But there is so much magic that's happening around us, even with all the negativity. And so we just have to find it. And if in my way of looking at this, if you're not going to create it, if I'm not going to create it, who will? Why do we need to look to someone else? That's why these sessions to dream and to think and to reconnect with the things that are important to us are so important right now.
You know, also, what's the world is changing. You are saying, you said it, the world is changing. Everybody knows the world is changing. What is your point of view about, we have found a new way, right? People have found a new way working at home. I mean, if you would have told me this 10 years ago, I let my employees work at home, it would sound very rubbish, I'll say, or bizarre, right? And I mean, because it all comes with trust. Am I trusting my employees to stay at home and work? And but more and more companies now were, they had to do that, right? Post COVID era, or maybe like what, going past this summer, or in 2021, what do you think? Will a lot of companies tell their people to stay home and work? Do they get more productivity from home, or do you think we'll go back to being in the office?
Another loaded question. I think, look, I think that the trust is a key factor. But trust, whether you're at home or in the office, that's at the core of psychological safety. That trust. I believe that companies have been effective with their people working at home because we've had no choice. We've had to be at home. We couldn't be in the office. People knew to keep their job, they had to perform. Companies had to trust. Go through, all of that. I struggle with this as the long-term solution. I think that some companies will have their workforce stay at home and save money on their office space. I think other companies are going to go, we want to try to retrofit, do what we used to do and bring it to this new world, and we're going to do that. I think there's probably a hybrid. But I have a very strong perspective on work at home. I've written guides on work at home. I'm happy to share with anybody who wants them. And my perspective,
if someone wants that guide at home, how can they get it?
I can either provide them to you, or they can email me at bdeitzer@deitzer.com, and I'll forward the guides. Or the best place to get them is probably my website, one of my websites, braddeitzer.com, and it's on the resource section. And there's guides to working at home, parenting at home, studying at home, and we're about to publish a set of 5 guides for coming back into the workplace. Those are going to be super interesting and different approaches to how companies should come back to the workplace. But as you talk about this idea of working at home, I have a real concern about it, and it's the fallacy of working at home. We're getting a lot of work done, but have you noticed that there are now no longer 7 days in a week? There's no longer 5 days in a work week. Our work week is 7 days long. We don't have the separation between driving to work and driving to home. There's a gap in that. There's an intensity that is building, where some organizations say that, it doesn't even feel like we have 5 or 7 days. It feels like one continuous day. So I worry long term, how do we sustain this? And so I believe that there's going to be some type of hybrid where we're going to accept that people can work at home, but we still need the connection. We need to feel the energy and the connection of the people we work with in our spaces. And I think people are going to be yearning for that. Our office is opening. We're opening slow. We've asked people to come in. It's their choice when they want to come in over the next 2 weeks before we bring them back in, as we say, kindergarten style, a couple days a week, and then we're going to bring them back full day. But what we're finding is every person who comes in says, wow, I'm getting so much more work done here. I thought I was more productive at home, and they've been incredibly productive. Wow, I've missed just the energy of the office, even though no one else is there. So I think the future is still to be determined, but I think you're going to see a lot more flexibility. And I think you're going to see different hybrid models that really are established because we understand we don't have a choice because of COVID and continuing issues. And because we do have a choice because we trust people, we trust our employees.
I'm a fan of hybrid style, because I definitely think people still need to be in the office because we need that human touch and accountability issues. So I'm not a fully stay at home kind of guy. But I think there should be. I mean, if some companies should be able to give flexibility, 3 days at the office, 2 days working from home, or 4 days at the office, 1 day work from home, or vice versa, 2 days and 3 days. But I think everybody needs to start coming back to normalcy, where we are going back and saying, hey, you know what, we need to start coming back to the thing. One thing that staying at home may also cause, what people don't understand, loneliness. Human are, we're supposed to be social. I mean, that's what we're designed to be. So, I mean, that's what my thinking is. What do you think about that?
Human connection is we're yearning for it. We talk about social distancing. There can't be social distancing. There's physical distancing. We have an innate need to be connected to each other. And so those connections on social media, the connections at a distance can only do so much. And it's important to find those human connections, starting with your family where it's safe, bridging out with people that you work with. But this is an opportunity to find those connections, to find the things in other people that are so important. We live in a society that I don't know that until we've had to be separated, that we haven't realized how important these connections are. And we spend so much time kind of devaluing listening and elevating the art of reacting. But we need to get back to listening to each other, connecting with each other, sharing with each other, and think about what our society can be when we do that.
Brad, so if someone wants to buy your book or get that book, Leading Clarity, how can they get it?
They can get Leading Clarity. It's probably best to get it through Amazon.
Okay.
Amazon sells it, and there's other online places, but Amazon's probably the easiest. And we're on LinkedIn at Brad Deutser, Facebook, Twitter at Brad Deutser. We love to share. We have great content on our braddeitzer.com website. There's a ton of articles and resources. And then if you want to come get to see Deutser, Deutser.com or DeitzerClarityInstitute.com, come experience the Institute. We love to share.
Perfect. Are you pretty active on Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn?
We try to share content and put things out there that help people. It's what we love to do, and we put different ideas out there. We have a pretty good following, and we love ideas from people, and we love to have an exchange. So if you see things that are interesting, reach out to us. Reach out to me personally.
Brad, a lot of this content is free, right?
When we went into the COVID time period, we decided to put the majority of our content on our website for free. So braddeitzer.com /resources. You'll see exercises on positivity. You'll see exercises, different assessments, so much stuff that just gets you thinking. And if you start to think and you want to have a conversation, let us know. We love to talk.
Brad, I feel like I can have this conversation for hours. Maybe we can go, 2-3 hours. But what I want to do is I want to leave the rest for when I can come visit the Institute and maybe do a part 2 for this. And
let's do it.
Yeah, perfect. So, Brad, before I sum this, before I finish this interview, there's one or two more questions that I have for you. You've given a lot of messages for entrepreneurs who are struggling and entrepreneurs who are doing this. Give us a message for someone who wanted to start in 2020, and then all of a sudden this COVID happened, but they're aspiring. They want to start something, and now they're like, well, I don't know. I have to take a back seat. What kind of message will you give to somebody like that?
My message is if you're starting a business, at some time you're going to have obstacles. It may be at the beginning as a startup, it may be a year into it, 5 years into it, 50 years into it. You're going to run into an obstacle. You have the obstacle at the beginning. Use that as an opportunity to double down on what you're going to do. Use that as an opportunity to rethink how your idea is going to navigate the chaos that is caused right now. Don't give up. Actually embrace it. Embrace this moment and know that you are going to be the change, and you're going to create something that's going to survive this. And when you survive this, think about what you have ahead of you. There will be no obstacle that comes your way that you're going to go, wow, that how am I going to deal with that? You've dealt with one of the most challenging right now. So what I tell you is stay grounded, be true to who you are. Think about your idea. Think about how it can be applicable. Think about how it's going to survive, and then go make it happen. Don't
Right.
sit back and wait. Make it happen.
Brad, let's say, for example, so I do this with every guest. Let's say it's the end of the world. Everything you have written on braddeitzer.com just got erased. It's like the Millennium 2K bug. You remember that Millennium 2K bug? And
Yeah.
everybody was scared. Everybody thought the world was over. If everything got erased, your books are gone, your resources are gone, the social media is gone, and you want to leave a message for your future generation and for the future world, for the rest of the world, and you had a piece of pen and a paper, and you want to write down three things that how people should live, and a message given by Brad Deitzer, and what is the most important thing, what will it be?
Well, I start with love, because I think without love, um, I think it's tough. And whether you have someone that you're in love with, something that you're in love with, at least have yourself. Find something in yourself that you can love and embrace. Two is realize that positivity is something that, when you think about positivity and you think about mindfulness, inspiration, happiness, optimism, gratitude, the things that make it up, that you can be positive even on the tough days. You can achieve something really positive on those tough days. And then I think that the third part is just to embrace being human. Embrace the humanity, embrace the differences in others. We're all people. Have gratitude for this place that we live in. Have gratitude for the people around you, the different perspectives. And I think that if you love and you have positivity and you embrace humanity, I think you have a pretty happy place.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brad. Why is gratitude so important? You said gratitude several times.
I'm a huge believer in gratitude, and there's a lot of work that we do around gratitude, being grateful. So many leaders are grateful for their families, their coworkers, the environment, everything around them. But I really think that people need to look at gratitude. And one of my favorite exercises on the website is I call it gratitude with a capital U in the middle of it, is having gratitude for yourself, being grateful for you. So I'm going to challenge you with this, Sam. All right. You can let me know how it goes.
All right.
Every single day
Mhm.
for the rest of this month, I want you to write one thing down that you're grateful for about you, not someone else, not something else, but grateful for about you.
I will.
And you can't repeat yourself. You can't repeat it any day.
All right.
And
So
the next month,
I'll
start
definitely
over.
do that. One thing that I do is when in the morning when I wake up, like, well, not right when I wake up, but sometimes in the morning, uh, I basically, give, basically I'm grateful and I give this gratitude. I have this little exercise. I say 11 to 15 things I'm grateful for. And it can start as like, thank you, God, for, allowing me to wake up this morning, allowing me to be healthy. Since Corona, I've been, thanking God for protecting me from Corona, right? And, just
Amen.
having a business, having family, having kids, you know, had such loving parents, have co-workers, have that, the intellect. And so I do that every morning. And sometimes I do two, three times a day, you know. And but I will do that exercise for you and I'll write it down every day. How about
Let's
that?
talk about it. Let's talk about it, because it's one thing to be grateful for everything around you, but leaders are bombarded with negative news, with difficult times, with employees, with lots of things. And so as the leader, whether it's the leader of your family, of your business, if you stop and start being grateful for you, see how it changes. It's fascinating. It's a great exercise. So
So
it's
one of the
important.
other exercises I'll share with you that I do, and maybe you can share with me before we end this. So like sometimes I just like to, and I can do this either way, right? I can either do it laying down, sitting down, standing up, whatever. Like I just, and it's kind of form of meditating. I get lost in just stare at the wall, and I try to do that like almost every day. Just disappear, just not think about anything, blank my mind. Do you do anything like that? Something
That's
crazy?
that that's meditation. I
Well,
mean,
I
in
know, but
so many ways, it's finding a way to still your brain, to let yourself just look, whether it's a focus stare, whether it's a soft stare, just being in the moment and knowing you're here in this moment, you're okay, and you have the ability to think about other things, and just to look and to imagine. And so yeah, no, it's what I try to do with breath, and what I try to do with meditation, every single day. Some people do it in prayer. So there's
yeah.
all different ways to do it, but it's important to make the time to do it, because you are important.
So, the crazy thing is, before I figured out that this was really meditation, and I found this out like I think about 6, 7 months ago, and because I always thought meditation was sitting down Indian style on a floor mat and say Om. So, for people who are thinking that that's really, you don't have to meditate it like that.
Yeah, no, I'll for people who are interested, I'll try to put up some of our 5 minute meditations up on braddeitzer.com. And so they can try it, and they can see that it's the farthest thing from that. It's just simply being in tune with you, and your breath, breathing. The one thing that we have to do to keep moving forward.
Breathe. Brad, thank you so much. This was so great. I learned a lot. This was so insightful for me. I can't wait till I come meet you at your office, at the institution, and see what those games are about that you talk about, the experience you talk about. We'd love to do that. We'd love to come over there, experience it myself. Maybe bring some of my leaders with me, and film it for people so they can see it. Thank you so much for taking the time. Anybody can do anything, but donating time is worth every single penny anyone can give. So thank you for donating your time. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us and your positivity and your message. Thank you, Brad. I appreciate it.
I am so grateful for you. I look at the signs you have behind you, and it's hard not to be inspired. And it's hard not to be inspired by you and what you do and the energy that you put out. It's awesome. It's contagious. And that's what we need to spread. So let's keep doing it. And we'll see you in the Institute. You tell me when.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right.
Guys, thank you for tuning in to Make Shit Happen, this episode with Brad Deutser. I screwed up his name earlier, but Brad, thank you so much. Have a good one.